Welcome back, friends, to the Legends of Country Music Museum on Music Valley Drive in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm Scott England with a lady who has hung around the Legends of Country for how many?
68 years.
68 years. Joyce Jackson, and we say happy birthday to Joyce.
Oh, thank you.
This gal, can I tell how old?
Yeah, I don't care.
And you probably can't see the boots, but we'll show those later. Man, she's got the fancy boots on, and we made the appointment to meet up here, and she beat us here driving across town at the age of 90.
The age of 90.
90 years old this week?
The 10th, 11 days ago.
Happy birthday, Joyce.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Did it creep up on you, or did it come fast?
No, it went pretty fast. I didn't know how I got this old this fast.
You came to Nashville when?
I came here on January the 19th, 1958, and started working for Jim Reeves on the 29th. I was here 10 days and started working for him.
You're from Kentucky?
I'm from Pee Wee Valley, Kentucky.
Pee Wee Valley?
Yep. You know where that is?
I've heard of it before.
It's about 17 miles a little bit northeast of Louisville, like on the way to Cincinnati.
How many people were in Pee Wee Valley?
When I left there, it was 720, and I think it's 840 now.
Well, it's growing.
It's growing.
It's growing over the last 70 years.
Yeah.
So why did you want to move to Nashville?
I've always loved country music, and I was made fun of during high school because then it was called hillbilly music. And I don't know, it was just something I wanted to do. And I came to Nashville the first time when I was 21, and before I turned 22, I was here living here.
And so, what was your goal when you moved here?
To work in the music business, and I had no idea that I was going to be working for Jim. I had worked in insurance before moving to Nashville, so I put applications in at the various insurance companies here to start off with. And I was sitting, I don't think you know about Line Balls, but a lot of people that might be listening to you know about Line Ball's little restaurant. It was a meat and three down on Broadway that was just down from the Ernest Tubb record shop. And it was open 24/7, and anytime you went in there was somebody in country music was always there. And it didn't matter whether you knew them or not, they came in and joined you, and you became friends with them. So Bob Holt, H-O-L-T, not to be confused with Hope, was the promotion man for RCA Records at the time. And he came in, I was sitting down there in Line Balls, and he said, can I join you? And I said, yeah, I didn't know who he was. So he introduced himself to me, and we got to talking. He wanted to know what I was doing in Nashville, and I told him I was looking for a job. And he said, I told him I'd been in insurance, but I really would like to get into the music business as the background. Mm-hmm. So he said, well, I happen to know somebody that needs a girl. And Herb Schuker at that time was Jim Reeves' manager, and she said, Herb and Jim Reeves are looking for a girl, and gave me their phone number. And they said, so I called the next day and asked for Herb, and I didn't know that I was talking with Jim. But he said, well, Herb's not here right now. He steps next door to get some coffee. So he said, I said, well, I'll just call back. I didn't realize I was talking to Jim. But anyway.
He was needing somebody to answer the phone.
Yeah.
And he was the one answering at the time. So a country star that was needing a girl, you didn't think anything of that?
No. So anyway, they wanted me to come out the next day and interview with them, and I did. And then that was on the 27th of January. So I went out on the 28th, and that day I met Mary, Jim's wife. I met Leo, which was later my husband, and he was on leave from the Army at that time. I met Jim, Ed, Maxine, and Bonnie Brown, the Browns. Wow. I met the man that was building Jim and Mary's house. That I have a friend that owns it now and lives in it. But anyway, he kept me there for 4 hours, introduced me to people, and I was sitting across the office from him. And finally, he called Herbie and he said, "We need to talk to Joyce about this job." That was on the 28th of January, and he said to Herb, when do you want her to go to work? And Herb said, in the morning. So that's what I did. I started work on the 29th of January, 1958.
And at the time, Jim Reeves was one of the biggest country stars there was?
Well, he'd had Four Walls,
Was
and he had Mexican Joe on Abbott, but he had Four Walls on RCA. And then in '59, then the next year, He'll Have to Go, which was his million seller, you know. And of course, Four Walls is deemed a million seller now too.
And you were working for him when the hits really started?
Oh yeah.
What was that like?
You know, it was awesome. Jim was such a gentleman. He deserved the title, Gentleman Jim. He was such a nice man to work with and such a good boss. And he treated me great. He treated me like one of his kids. You know, they treated me like family, and that was awesome. We had one little argument one time. Jim was a perfectionist, so you didn't tell him he was wrong about anything, and I did.
Really?
Yeah. I told him he was wrong, and he got mad at me and told me I'd be looking for another job. And I slammed desk drawers, and I looked up at him, and I said, well, let me tell you something. I was looking, and I found this one. and he didn't say another word. And before the day was over, he had me laughing. He told some funny stories. I heard a lot of funny stories with Jim.
When he got mad at you, he started singing, "She'll have to go."
Yeah.
She'll have to go.
Yeah.
Well, he gave you a very special gift too that you still have.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Are you talking about the record?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. Jim was doing a radio show at the time I first started working for him. It was over in February after I started working for him in January, so I wasn't here during the Christmas program. But he always had the tapes of all of those shows. And so one afternoon we were listening to his Christmas program, and he was singing White Christmas. And I told him, I said, Jim, I don't think I've ever heard anybody sing White Christmas like that before. I said, that is absolutely beautiful. He said, well, I had a cold when I was singing that. And I said, well, you ought to have a cold every time you go into the record to record because it sounds too good, you know. So without me knowing it, this was like in either October or November of '61. And without me knowing it, he took that tape down to RCA. And back then, we pitched songs on the acetates. You know what I'm talking about. So he took that tape down to RCA and made me a two-sided White Christmas and gave it to me for Christmas that year.
Wow.
It is very rare. I'm the only person that's got that.
Yeah.
And you know, it's very special. I've got it still, and I've got it hidden.
I know you told me about it years ago.
Yeah.
And a special gift.
Yeah, it was.
That only one person has. Remember this organ?
Yeah, I do. It was taken a little bit on the tours with them, but not very often because it was mainly stayed in our studio. But Dean Manuel is the one that really played it more than Jim did. Now Jim played at it.
Really? Yeah.
He played at the piano and he played at the organ, but Dean is the one that played it.
So here's the organ now, and here's Jim Reeves' Songs of Love. And you said there's something special about this.
Yeah, this is just Jim's head, and this is Harry Jenkins, who used to be the RCA vice president in New York. This is his body.
And why did they do that?
They just needed a new kind of picture for Jim, a new promotion picture for the album.
Needed a different outfit.
Uh-huh.
That was before AI and before Photoshop.
Right.
It looks like that's Jim Reeves.
I know it does, doesn't it? But it's not.
That is wild. Now, was this done before his death?
No, it was done after.
Was after his death?
Yes.
And they were just needing a new outfit. Wow.